Alrighty. Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving and not just surviving. It is another beautiful day here in North Carolina. I'm excited that you all are joining me here. It's so funny if you're watching this back as the live stream after it's been posted, especially over on YouTube. I usually talk to myself for probably about 5 minutes while everyone starts scrolling in here. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Hold on, I'm about to yawn. Yawns are contagious, so I don't ever want to yawn on camera. Because it's just a nice thing to not do. So, and good morning to everyone over on TikTok. Um, by the way, if you are joining from TikTok, I know that my broadcast video is not the best. That is something that I am going to be figuring out today, what to do with that, because this video resolution here is not the vibe. It is not the vibe. So I'm going to figure that out. I might end up. Hold on. Give me a second. I get this picture all the time. I get this violation every single morning that my live visibility is restricted, and it's really annoying. Really annoying. Um, over on TikTok. And it's because I have a green screen up showing the article in which I'm about to discuss and providing the information. And the fact that I share that information immediately, the live doesn't like it. So this is why I don't go over to TikTok anymore. This is why I'm not engaged on your platform anymore. It tells me every single time that my live visibility is restricted. So what TikTok is basically saying is they don't want to inform people about what's happening. Got it. Got it. So I guess TikTok is pro ignorance. Love that. Anyway, good morning, beautiful people. Hold on, let me type in a little good morning message. Good morning, beautiful people. If you want a better, what is it? Have y'all heard the? Actually, wait. You know what? I'm gonna say send some likes. Send some likes to support the stream. All right. I'm also going to launch a poll here. And let's go over to YouTube real quick. Hold on. Hello to everyone on YouTube. I don't see anyone jumping here in the chat just yet, but that's okay. Akicha, hello. Okay, I'm going to launch a poll here in both of them while we're just getting started. Give me just a second. Let me cook, as the kids say, as the kiddos say. Let me cook. I don't even know what we're cooking. Are we cooking up trouble? Is that what that is? Custom. Okay. Let's see. I have too many polls. I need to get rid of some of them. I can delete that one. I can delete that one. Let's see. Delete that one. All right. Let's create new. Let's see. Did you all, what is it? How do I want to phrase this? Did you all anticipate this happening? Be like, how do I want to phrase this? Like, the question I want to ask to everyone is, did you all expect this? Like, for Trump and Iran for that ceasefire to hold? Did you expect the ceasefire to be broken? Actually, I should say, did you expect, or did you think this was going to happen? Yes or no? All right. Save. Launch. How's everyone doing today? Alrighty. Good morning. We have 24 people over here. Hello. We have a lot to get to today. So let me launch the poll real quick and then over in YouTube, and then we'll fully get started here. Start a poll. Let your viewers weigh in. Did you all expect the ceasefire to be... What is it? Did you all expect the ceasefire to be broken? Yes or no? Start. All right. Doing good today. How are you? I'm doing dandy. I'm doing fine. So today I actually have the day off from work, which is kind of nice. So I'm planning on trying to catch up on a lot of content. So that's going to be one of my main priorities here. Ceasefire holding from the guy who solved 8 imaginary wars but cannot get us out of the war that he started. Oh, that A rank, A plus, A plus comment right there. Oh my god. Oh my goodness gracious. Um, let's see. Can I make this poll like smaller on TikTok? Okay. I see 1 vote. Y'all make sure to vote in the poll over on TikTok. Did you all expect the ceasefire to hold? All right. Let's officially get started here. Please make sure to send some likes. We'll get into everything. All right, here we go. Good morning. That was a bad tongue pop. Hold on. I haven't done that in the longest time. Hold on. Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving and not just surviving. For those of you who do not know, my name is Scott Johnson. I assume that you know who I am since you clicked on this, or maybe you scrolled in here. I don't know. And I report objective, raw news in the morning. In the morning, I don't know where you are, but it's morning for me. So I report a lot of what's happening, and I provide critical analysis and content around what it all means and how to break it all down. Of course, I will share my opinion, though I also make it very evident what is my opinion versus what are the objective facts. So this morning, one of the big things we're going to talk about today is how the ceasefire between the United States and Iran has fallen through, officially, as it seems. And Donald Trump ended up basically sharing a lot of that. And we're going to play the video for you all. So let me officially clip this, and we will officially start the content. So that didn't last long. The ceasefire between Iran and the United States, the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, has fallen through. And I'm not going to say that I expected this. No, I absolutely expected this. And, of course, it's frustrating that we, the United States, are still in a war. But to me, Iran is like a hornet's nest. When you kick the hornet's nest, the hornets get to decide when it's over. And when you look at this, Trump is really down. Like, he really thought he could go in, bomb Iran, and get what he wanted. And it's not turning out the way that he wants. So let me play this video for you all. But let me first start off here. Trump tears up Iran ceasefire, trashes scum regime leaders. They're lying guys. Basically, Trump said the ceasefire with Iran is over. Let's play the video.
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore with this scum. You know what scum is?
Is the ceasefire over? Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore with this scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal, and he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
Now, I apologize for the audio quality in that clip. I wanted to make sure that you all could hear it. But wow. All right. First off, just want to address the fact that Trump said they're cuckoo, they're cuckoo, in points like this. Honey, okay. As my mother would say, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Basically, just meaning because pots and kettles are often dark colors. Like, yeah, you're a hypocrite for saying that. Donald Trump is one of the most cuckoo people ever, ever. So the fact that he's basically like, yeah, they're crazy, they're nuts. Oh, sweetheart, sweetheart. Bless him, bless him. Now, secondly, the fact that he said that this Iran ceasefire is over, I'm not surprised. And from the look of it, in the chat here, a lot of people are also not surprised. Skeeter says, ceasefire holding from the guy who solved 8 imaginary wars but cannot get us out of the war that he started. Yeah, I mean, how else can you top that? So eloquently said. So President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over on yesterday, or actually, no, today. Sorry. I guess earlier today. This was in Turkey, branding Iran's leaders scum and insisting negotiations were a waste of time. Damn. Claiming that negotiations were a waste of time? So, wait a minute. You wanted to go in and bomb a country, and then you're now saying that your art of the deal negotiations were a waste of time? Interesting. After sharp military escalation overnight between the two countries. Speaking alongside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the Alliance Summit in Ankara, Turkey, Trump was asked whether the ceasefire and Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, that's the 14-point plan that negotiated that was being crafted. Sorry. That was the 14-point plan for the interim ceasefire. The preconditions to then start a 60-day period to begin talking about what a post-war relationship looks like. So the MOU is actually we for this purpose of simplicity, we just say that that's the ceasefire agreement, but really the ceasefire agreement was the thing that was going to be crafted after the MOU, which they didn't even get to that. So, yeah. It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. Yikes. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. They're scum. You know what scum is? The fact that he had to ask what scum was. Oh my god. Someone said, "Who's simping for Iran?" Not me. Why? Iran is a country that has done awful things to their own people. They do not allow them to have a democracy. Iran is oppressing women and children and people for their specific religion or wearing a hijab a certain way. Now, in my view, that doesn't mean that we need to go in and immediately just like bomb the crap out of them. We should leave them alone. We should leave them alone. Let human rights groups decide to intervene and stand up against that oppression. We, the United States, don't need to just bomb them, leading us into a war with them, leading to our economy collapsing. Yeah, no, no. Um, he added, if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. Trump said that U.S. negotiators, including Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, remained willing to engage with Tehran, but suggested any further diplomacy would be futile. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. Drawing a contrast with NATO allies, Trump said, "We make a deal. If I make a deal with them, make a deal with him," he said, pointing to Root, "we have a deal." Okay. Of Iran, he continued, "We make a deal. They go outside. They talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over." Wow. Interesting. Um, Look, if you want my opinion or my analysis, I am not surprised. I'm not surprised that this happened. Um, Truly, I'm not. When you really come to think of it, when you are Trump, I or I should say, I'm baffled that people thought that Trump is some sort of master negotiator. Like, Trump tries to just whine his way out of a situation. He whines his way into getting what he wants. That's his strategy. Iran is not going to capitulate. They are not going to capitulate. Iran doesn't mind being in a war. It seems like the United States does. I don't want to be in a war. Trump doesn't want to be in a war, even though he was the one that started it. So Iran is like, we could go all day. We could go all day. You're really wanting a ceasefire. You really want to negotiate some sort of peace, but we as Iran really don't care about that. Now, that's just the facts on the ground. Iran could go on like this forever. That's why the MOU was negotiating, okay, Iran will be like, fine, as long as you give us $300 billion, then we'll be fine. So I'm not surprised at all. The remarks came hours after U.S. Central Command announced powerful strikes against more than 80 Iranian targets in response to attacks on a commercial oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran responded by launching missiles and drones at U.S. military facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait, marking the most serious exchange of fire since Washington and Tehran signed their 14-point MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, last month. So the ceasefire is effectively broken. That's where we are at. So the U.S. launched powerful strikes against Iran after ships were struck, after Iran decided to bomb ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The United States launched clear strikes against Iran on Tuesday, yesterday, accusing the country of a clear violation of a ceasefire agreement after ships were targeted in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command announced the powerful strikes, saying it was a response to Iran targeting 3 commercial vessels. According to CENTCOM, forces have begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran to impose the heavy cost for targeting and attacking commercial ships crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. The U.S. strikes are in response to Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. So here's the thing. Facts. Let me just lay out the raw objective facts here. All right. First, number 1, Iran bombs 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Again, the Strait of Hormuz is that waterway that the goes between the country of Iran and the tip of, I think it's Oman or the United Arab Emirates. Just right there. It's like a small narrow waterway which controls and sorry, hold on. Let me start over. Number 1. I need a sip of coffee. Hold on. So, let me just lay out the objective facts here. Number 1, Iran bombs 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. These 3 ships, according to U.S. Central Command, were crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. So Iran breaks the ceasefire first. The United States decides, okay, 2 can play at that game, and we launched 18 powerful strikes or so against other Iranian targets. So, hold on. Let me make sure I got that right. I don't know where I got the number 18 from. Give me a second. Hold on. Was it in here? "80 Iranian targets." Okay. Okay. Sorry, let me start that over again. Okay, I know, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. Um, I'm crazy. I appreciate every single one of you, though. Okay, give me a second. Hold on. All right. Let me just lay out the objective facts here. Number one, the ceasefire between the United States and Iran has effectively been ended. All right. So, Iran, I can't English. Linda. Linda's my imaginary secretary and bestie. Linda, I can't English. I can't do this today. I'm gonna actually clip that and then stitch together another video here. Gay war strategy. What is gay war strategy? You've had enough coffee, dude? Shut up. I probably have. I know. I know. Um, no all caps comment will be deleted. Yes, y'all. Okay. Sorry if I'm all over the place this morning. I'm gay. I can't help it. Okay. So let me just lay out the objective facts here. Take number 69, all right? Number 1, Iran decided to violate the ceasefire agreement by bombing 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Again, the Strait of Hormuz is that international waterway that carries around a fourth to a fifth of the world's oil on a daily basis. This is crucial for global energy supply and development. Iran bombs 3 commercial ships with innocent civilians operating them in the Strait of Hormuz. And the United States gets visibly very frustrated. Of course, Donald Trump gets very frustrated. And as retaliation, the United States decides to fire back powerful strikes against Iran. And in the form of, looks like it was 80 Iranian targets in response to attacks on the oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Number 2 is that Trump basically goes on when questioned with the press saying, yep, the ceasefire is effectively been violated. It is effectively over. It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over, is what he said. Let me play the video for you all. I apologize, the audio is not going to be good.
Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
So Trump says, as far as I'm concerned, it's over. They're cuckoo. By the way, if you did not notice, they're cuckoo. Now, I can understand from an emotional standpoint, I'm sure Trump is frustrated. But also, here comes my critical, opinionated analysis. We as the United States, were the ones that attacked them first. So, I mean, the fact that the United States desperately wants peace, I agree with. And I think that's great. I would love to have peace with Iran. But to me, Iran is a lot like a hornet's nest. When you kick the hornet's nest and you're like, okay, I just kicked it. I wanted to hurt it. I don't want to be involved in it anymore. The hornets get to decide when it's over. Like it's not if you kick it, the hornets have the final say. Iran as a country itself is a lot like that hornet's nest. Iran does not care about being in an interlocked conflict with the United States. They actually don't care. They welcome being in this conflict. It seems like they could go on forever. You know that one person that's like, fine, hit me, go ahead. I could do this all day. That's what I'm viewing Iran as doing. It's the United States that's constantly groveling, saying that we want a ceasefire, we want a ceasefire, we want a ceasefire, which I agree with. That would be great. I would love for there to be peace. It's ironic that we, as the United States, want that after we were the ones that bombed them first. And Iran is like, okay, give us our terms, then we can have a ceasefire. Which in the MOU, we had to give them $300 billion was one of the conditions in order for them to be happy. Like to reconstruct their country after we bombed them. So we spent $100 billion plus bombing the country, and then we're going to spend $300 billion plus reconstructing it. So my opinion here is I understand and I can resonate and connect with Trump and his emotional frustration. But dude, you gave us all the bed to lie in as the United States, and now we have to lie in it. You are the one that decided to bomb Iran. Iran gets to decide when it's over. I don't like that fact, but that's what I'm seeing. So I'm not surprised that this fell through the way that it did. I'm just laying it all out there. Not surprised at all. I want to show you some other clips here. So let me go on with the rest of this here.
Speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo.
They're cuckoo.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
Ceasefire over.
Last night, we attacked very powerfully last night. The very dangerous people from Iran. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they started shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night. Very hard. I would say.
Okay, wait, pause. Trump said, go do your funeral stuff? Go do your funeral stuff. What does that even mean? Like, I need some context here. Go do your funeral stuff. Was that him basically saying that because we've bombed them so much and so many innocent Iranian people have died, and they're like, go do your funeral stuff? Or is he like telling them go to your place of worship to commemorate people? Like, what does that even mean? Go do your funeral stuff. Sorry, I don't mean to get hung up on that, but just I had to take that pause there for a sec.
We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they started shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night. Very hard. I would say 20 to 1, 20 times tougher. And I told them every time you hit, we hit. And of course, they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years. And they're a bunch of scum. You want to know the truth? They're scum.
I've been number one on Iran's list for many years. Iran was not. What? Okay. You're number one on Iran's list for many years. What kind of evidence do you have to back that up? He was the one that tore up the Obama-Iran nuclear deal, which that deal basically stopped Iran from having a nuclear weapon. It said in exchange for many countries, including the United States, the UK, France, I believe it was also Russia, Germany, China, Japan, all these countries lifting sanctions, economic sanctions, which are like a penalty, that Iran would agree to not develop nuclear weapons. And he tore up that deal. So he's saying that I was number one on Iran's list for many years. For what reason? You didn't even come into politics until you were 70 years old. I don't know what he defines as many. Like many to me, are you going to define that as ever since back in 2016? Like after you did that? But Iran would have been thanking you. Iran would have been happy that then they can start developing nuclear weapons after that. So why would they be against you? It was you who attacked them first. They had no quarrels with you until you decided to get into their business. He's like, I don't like them. They're scum. They're evil people. Yeah, well, when you kick the hornet's nest, they get to decide when it's over.
And so we don't like them. I don't like them. And they're evil people. We
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Like, so let's see. Breaking. Unhinged Trump declares the ceasefire with Iran is over. I want to go through and read some of the comments here. Let's see. Famous wartime quotes by U.S. presidents. Do what you can with what you have where you are. George Washington. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. A man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on. Harry Truman. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Ronald Reagan. Open the effing straight. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise to Allah, Bozo the crazy clown. Oh my God. Trump decided to go to war against Iran with the greatest military in the history of the world and lost. What an effing useless dummy. What a SHITSHOW. So much for the art of the deal guy. Nobody knows how to negotiate deals better than him, right? Operation Epic Failure. It's a waste of it's a waste of time dealing with Trump. He lies about everything, literally, and every single thing he tries to do is a massive failure. Trump admits that Iran doesn't have nukes. Okay, if they had one, they'd use it. Yeah, so either they were destroyed or they just don't have them anymore. Iran never had any and stayed away within the 2015 JCPOA. So if nukes weren't real, what deal was needed? Trump's claim contradicts itself. It doesn't sound like Iran was the one lying about a real discussion. Now, to me, I think that Trump is actually telling the truth here. Like, I think that he's really genuinely frustrated that Iran doesn't want to negotiate peace with him. But again, he has no self-awareness to understand why. Because he was the one that decided to bomb them first, and he thought that he could bomb his way into getting what he wanted and then whine his way out of it. Like, that's not how that's going to work. I hate this effing administration. Yeah. So anyway, that's just a brief little update there. I want to see if there's other parts of the video here that are good.
Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
That's not the. Hold on, I want to find the. Here we go.
I don't like them at all. And frankly, I think we waste a lot of time with them. I think we should just do our business. Like, can you imagine? They start shooting bombs, actually missiles at ships yesterday. So I don't like them at all. And frankly, I think we waste a lot of time with them. I think we should just do our business. Like, can you imagine? They start shooting bombs, actually missiles at ships yesterday. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a couple of others, and I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. But they're bad people, very bad people. I think they're incompetent, by the way. Because if they were competent, they would have made a deal a long time ago. Like, how about 47 years ago?
47 years ago? Wait a minute. Hold on. 47 years ago? If they were competent, they would have made a deal 47 years ago. What? Where are you getting this number from? What? Are you getting the number 47 because you're the 47th president? I guarantee you that that's why Donald Trump said 47. Like, tell me I'm wrong. Like, that's something that Trump would do. Okay. Iran was not an issue until after you tore up the JCPOA in your first term. The JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which stopped Iran from having a nuclear weapon, also known as the Obama-Iran nuclear deal. So, you said, frankly, we've wasted a lot of time with them. Yeah, I'm glad that he's coming to that conclusion. We shouldn't have bombed them in the first place. No more foreign wars, right? Yeah, of course Trump was lying then. Of course he was lying then. Where is the video that...
Dangerous people from Iran. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. We should go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they start shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night. Very hard. I would say 20 to 1, 20 times tougher. I told them every time you hit, we hit. And of course, they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years. And they're a bunch of scum. You want to know that?
All right, so let me give you a full big summary here. Oh,
Awards of military operation, including trying to
hold on.
end the war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is, of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that. Including trying to end the war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really...
Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Okay, I want to give you all a big overview, like a big summary of everything. Give me just a second here. Let me get all organized. Let me get all organized. We got 210 people over on YouTube. That is amazing. I appreciate every single one of you. I think we have 13 people on TikTok. Again, if you're over on TikTok and you want a better live experience, please go over to YouTube. Find me on YouTube at Scott Johnson Explains. Okay, let me give you all a brief little overview of everything here. I know that it's a lot to take in, so I'm going to clip that and then I'm going to start over again. Okay. All right. Oh. All right, so we have some breaking news, and that breaking news is that the ceasefire is effectively over. The MOU is effectively dead, the Memorandum of Understanding. This was the interim ceasefire agreement that would start a 60-day negotiating period for what a post-war Iran-U.S. relationship would look like. Now, Iran decided to attack 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, which were innocent civilians operating these oil tankers. And of course, Trump got infuriated, and the US government decided to then strike 80 different targets across the region, including in places like Bahrain and Kuwait. And it was, let me double check that. The remarks came after the US Central Command announced powerful strikes against more than 80 Iranian targets. 80 Iranian targets in response to the commercial attacks. Did I just get that wrong? Iran responded by launching missiles at drones in U.S. military facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait. Okay, so I got that wrong. Oh my God. Okay, I almost did it all in one take. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. All right. Whenever I get one tiny little thing wrong, I'm just like, It annoys me. Okay. Let me start that over again. I know, I'm crazy. I want to film like the perfect video so that when I post it later, oh, it will just be immaculate. Okay. Okay. Give me just a second. Just a second. All right. I see a lot of you in here in chat. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all are awesome. Even if you don't like me. Okay? Even if you don't like me. And over on TikTok, y'all are incredible. If you want to find my live stream over on YouTube, it is of better quality. Just letting you all know. All right. Let me clip this. So the ceasefire between the United States and Iran is effectively broken. Breaking news. And I hated how that started. I am too much of a perfectionist. I want something to be perfect. And you know what? It's not going to be perfect, but I can't stand it not being perfect. Okay, it's my own thing to deal with. Does anyone struggle with the same kinds of things that I do? All right, let me try that again. Take number 69. Okay. All right. So we have some breaking news that the ceasefire between the United States and Iran is effectively over. It has been broken. And Trump was expressing his frustration there. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of feel for him. But look, Iran is a lot like a hornet's nest. When you kick the hornet's nest because you don't like that it's there, and then you run away because all of a sudden the hornets start attacking you, the hornets get to decide when it's over. And that's a lot like Trump with Iran, okay? Trump decided to bomb Iran, and Iran gets to decide when it's over. So, yeah, just letting you know. So, Trump tears up Iran's ceasefire and trashes scum regime leaders. They're lying guys. President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over on Wednesday, so today, but it's earlier on Wednesday because he's actually currently in Turkey right now, branding Iran's leaders scum and insisting negotiations were a waste of time after sharp military escalation overnight between the two countries. Speaking alongside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the Alliance Summit in Turkey, Trump was asked whether the ceasefire and memorandum of understanding, the MOU, underpinning it had collapsed. It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? He knows what scum is, especially what pond scum is. He just dealt with a whole bunch of pond scum in his reflecting pool. He had his own battle with scum, you know? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. They're vicious. They're violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. Trump said U.S. negotiators, including Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, remained willing to engage with Tehran, but suggested any further diplomacy would be futile. I'll speak with our negotiators. You know, they want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, they're good people, but they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. So let me play the video for you all.
Over. Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And it goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
They're cuckoo. If you didn't know, they're cuckoo.
Talks won't resume after we get through the funeral proceedings.
What?
Does this mean that talks with Iran will not resume?
I don't care. They can talk, but I think they're wasting their time. They're a bunch of lying guys. I do it my whole life. That's all I do is deals. My whole life that's how I became president. I guess that's a deal too, right? But I made a lot of money. I had a lot of great success, tremendous success. Everything I did, I was successful. And I deal with these guys, and I say, this is from a different school. They're liars. They're cheats. They're sick people. They've hurt their people. They killed 54,000 people as of now that were protesting. You know, when people say, how come they haven't taken over? They can't take over because they're dead. They killed them. Nobody's going to take over. They have no guns, and the other side has machine guns.
So, to give Trump some credit, he at least is seeing Iran treat their own people very violently. And I don't disagree with his intentions of wanting to help the people of Iran, like genuinely speaking. But here's the thing: the United States doesn't need to go in and try to bomb them to then fix that problem. That's at least my opinion. Because we've tried this regime change thing. We've tried this over and over, and, you know, it just gets us involved in endless wars. It's not necessarily our responsibility. Now, I feel for people of Iran because for those people who are not familiar, Iran, Trump is actually correct here. Don't tell me I don't ever give him credit. Iran has unalived a lot of their own civilians that are protesting for a country that isn't led by religious, crazy people. And he's talking about the people in Iran that control women. They try to they unalive people simply because they protest. Now, to me, that doesn't mean that we should go and just bomb them, piss them off, and then they hold the Strait of Hormuz hostage, leading to a global crisis regarding the supply chain for oil and gas and energy, which is what this has turned into. So here's the thing: Trump really wanted to bomb Iran because of, I guess, that reason of trying to liberate them in some capacity, but also, he didn't want them to have a nuclear weapon. Except we have mixed intelligence on whether Iran even has a nuclear weapon. If you all remember, Trump said that he was going to be a pro-peace person, not start endless wars. Yet, we're in this endless war. And here's the thing: Donald Trump he started this despite campaigning on no new wars. And he kicks the hornet's nest known as Iran. The hornets get to decide when it's over. Iran could go all day. They don't mind being in a war with the United States. It's the United States that seems to mind being in a war with Iran. I don't want to be in a war with Iran. I'm sure all of you don't want to be in a war with Iran either. So, the fact that we have come full circle in this moment, and now Trump is like, yeah, I'm really frustrated because there's no dealing with them. Yeah, so you shouldn't have bombed them in the first place. Bombing your way into getting what you want might work with people in the United States that will capitulate to you and your whiny fascistic billionaire needs, but it doesn't work with another country that like Iran. It's not going to work with them. They don't mind being in a conflict. That's why they violated the MOU to start with. That's why they don't mind that we, the United States, decided to bomb them back a whole lot harder. So let me just lay out the objective facts here. Number one, Iran violates the ceasefire agreement. They bombed 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. These 3 ships are operated by innocent civilians, oil tankers, providing oil and gas to the rest of the world, but also to the United States. Iran bombs these 3 oil tankers, and of course, this basically breaks the ceasefire, naturally. And the United States gets furious. Trump gets frustrated. I get it. I can empathize for him. course, he doesn't have any self-reflection at all to understand that it was his actions that led us into this moment. But in response, the United States, number two, decides to fire back on 80 targets, 80 strategic targets targeting Iranian forces. And hold on, down here. It was 80 Iranian targets in response to the commercial oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. And the facts are, number three is Trump basically, while in Turkey, then says, yeah, the ceasefire is effectively broken. The ceasefire is effectively broken. It's over. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. They're vicious people. I don't want to deal with them anymore. So, gotta love that. Gotta love that. And he at one point was here, hold on. Where did he say it? Where did he say it?
Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that, including trying to end. We attacked very powerfully last night. Very dangerous people from Iran. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they start shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night. Very hard. I would say 20 to 1, 20 times tougher. And I told them every time you hit, we hit. And of course, they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years. And they're a bunch of scum. You want to know the truth? They're scum.
And I'm still very confused at Trump saying that he's been number one on their list for many years. Because, in my view at least, I would think that Iran would be happy that that the ceasefire or the words. I would think that Iran would be happy because Trump tore up the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which stopped Iran from having a nuclear weapon. Like, that was something that he did after he became president, the first term. Obama, our previous president, before 2016, had negotiated this ceasefire agreement with Iran, basically saying that, hey, Iran, as long as you agree to not having a nuclear weapon, developing or buying one, any of those things, we, the United States, along with the UK, with France, with Germany, I think was involved in that, Russia, China, and Japan, all agreed saying, yeah, we will lift economic sanctions for Iran and our countries. Economic sanctions are like penalties. We'll lift those economic sanctions in response to you agreeing not to have a nuclear weapon. And Trump goes and rips up that agreement. When Trump says, I've been number one on their list for years, I would think that Iran, if they do have nuclear ambitions, would thank Trump for that. So I don't understand and believe him at all when he says that. Because that wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, that's just a whole encapsulating thing of this whole situation. So the breaking news is that the ceasefire agreement is over. And according to YouTube chat here, 92% of you with 236 votes, 92% of you in here were like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Not surprised whatsoever about that. So anyway, the regime was never going to honor any agreement. Yeah, 100% they were not going to honor any agreement. And so as an Iranian, he's right. The regime is scum. I'm not going to also disagree with that. Like, I don't know if people realize this goes beyond partisan politics here. And for anyone that somehow thinks that me talking about this and also criticizing Trump means that I'm on the side of Iran, no. Why would I? Iran has done awful things to their people. They unalive protesters, women, children. No, here's the thing. When Democrats, and I'm telling this to the MAGA people who will watch this video inevitably, when Democrats watch this, we're criticizing Trump for his actions leading us into this conflict. We're not saying that we are affirmative with what's happening in Iran. No, why would we? That goes against our morals. We believe in anti-violence. We believe in the rights for women and children. We believe in letting them have a country that isn't controlled by an oppressive regime. So why would we be in support of that? It doesn't make any sense. Why? Just to, I guess, throw it in the faces and make Trump look bad? No. Why? No. We can criticize Trump for his actions leading us into this war without doing that. Like, we're not on the side of Iran because we criticize the United States getting us into this conflict. Pure, raw, and simple. So, but you just said it's not America's responsibility to intervene. No, I don't think that we should intervene the way that we have by bombing them in order to get them to capitulate. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It didn't work with Vietnam. Why should it work with Iran? So there's a way to fix those kinds of things without going into war. Just putting that all out there. So, anyway. Yeah, the regime was never going to honor any agreement. No, they weren't. They weren't. So, anyway, let's move on to the next segment here. I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all are awesome, even if you don't like me. All right. Alrighty. Let's move on to the next segment. He's like, I don't want to deal with them. Well, honey, that ship has sailed because you have to deal with them. You were the one that bombed them first. You were the one that bombed them first. Oh, yeah. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it here? There it is. Okay. This is where we're going to start. Let me end the poll here. Alrighty. To the 8 of you over on TikTok, I'm going to end the TikTok live stream. Just by the way, I'm going to end the TikTok live stream. If you want to go over to YouTube, then I definitely encourage you to do that. Find me on YouTube at Scott Johnson Explains. So, give me a second. Alrighty. Alright, so I'm going to end the TikTok live, but I'll still be on YouTube. So give me a second. So anyway, I'll see you all later. You want to know the reason why I ended my TikTok live stream? Since it's us YouTube fam in here, TikTok hates me. Like I tried to do my content with them and they just don't like me. The videos are going to be worth it for me posting there, but it's not worth it for me to go live on TikTok anymore. Is kind of the conclusion I've come to, at least this morning. Is like there's no point. There's no point. The video resolution doesn't look good. They suppress the visibility for the live stream, and I would rather focus on my YouTube family, So I appreciate all of you. I'd rather be really in tune with you all than have to deal with 2 different streams at once. So let's move on to the next segment here. On behalf of all Iranians, God bless America and Israel. Oh my God. Why? What? Geez Louise. All right. Let's move on to the next segment. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's go ahead and get on to it. get onto it here. All right. So Donald Trump still has this fetish of wanting to acquire Greenland, and it's really took a turn for the worse. So Trump at NATO summit, Greenland should be controlled by the United States, not Denmark. This will not happen, Denmark's prime minister said for the umpteenth time. President Trump on Tuesday, yesterday, renewed his calls for U.S. control of Greenland, an anonymous territory of NATO member Denmark, in remarks delivered at the Atlantic Alliance's summit in Turkey. Greenland doesn't help Denmark, Trump told reporters in Ankara, Turkey. Denmark doesn't really spend money to help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. Now, I'm going to tell you, Trump should not be speaking on behalf of Denmark. That's for Denmark to share. That's for Greenlanders to share. Oh, wait, they did. Greenland citizen here, Trump is lying. Greenland is not surrounded by Chinese or Russian ships. Yeah, so there was a whole nother thing that I wanted to point out here. Let me click on this. Trump on Greenland. That's what hurt my relationship with NATO because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States and it's surrounded by China and Russia ships. Greenland should be controlled by the United States, not Denmark. We could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. They better be careful. I love how readers added context. Denmark provides more than $1 billion in annual subsidies to Greenland. Experts in NATO intelligence confirm that no Chinese or Russian ships surround Greenland. And it's a Wall Street Journal article, a AP News, and Reuters. So I love the readers added context kind of thing. Let's watch the video here.
With respect to what? Well, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO. Because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark. And when they wouldn't go along with it, and with all the money we spend to help them with Russia, and we don't have to spend any money, we could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. Because as you probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago. A lot different, much different. It's a much different, and they better be careful with immigration and energy. If they're not careful with those two things, you're not going to have a Europe anymore. Okay, thank you very much.
Of course, he had to add in a dose of racism in there. Fear-mongering about immigration. You're not going to have Europe anymore if you have immigration. So he's just a racist. He's a racist. That's not the point of the video, but it's very clear. Most of the people who are immigrating to Europe are from non-white countries. What else am I supposed to interpret that as? He's a racist. Okay, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to help Greenland. Except they do. They do. Let's open up these articles here. Now, I don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, or I think Reuters and I are not on the best terms. Verifying the device. Welcome to Greenland, an economy reliant on subsidies and shrimp. What did you call me? Yeah. Heavily reliant on the annual subsidies powered largely by shrimp. So they provided Nordics reject Trump's claim of Chinese and Russian ships around Greenland, Financial Times reports. So I love how Trump just gets viciously fact-checked. It's simply not true that Chinese and Russians are there. I've seen the intelligence. There are no ships. There are no submarines. The Financial Times quoted one senior diplomat as saying, another Nordic diplomat claims that waters around Greenland were crawling with Russian and Chinese vessels were unfounded, adding that such activity was on the Russian side of the Arctic. Trump had repeatedly said that Russian and Chinese vessels are operating near Greenland, a claim Denmark disputes. He has not provided evidence to support it. Trumpers don't need evidence to believe something. Why would they need evidence to believe something? Trump says it and Trumpers believe it. That's how the cult works. So and then when in doubt, when you give them a tiny bit of critical thinking, there are people that then will those people, like someone in the chat here, will completely deflect and then say other side bad. Bless your heart. So I also find this astounding. Let me go back to this. Greenland citizen here. Trump is lying. Greenland is not surrounded by Chinese or Russia ships. And also, this really gets into the colonialism still that we see today. Why and what entitles Donald Trump to think that he deserves Greenland? Greenland is a territory of Denmark. And Denmark is it can kind of controls them, but Greenland has their own autonomy within that. Shouldn't it be up to Greenlanders whether they want to join the United States? And also, you survey Greenlanders, they don't want to join the United States. They see the chaos that Trump is doing over here and they're like, no, get me away from that. That's creepy. That's weird. We don't want to be a part of it. So, and Trump said, because as you've probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago, and they better be careful with immigration and energy. If they're not careful with those two things, you're not going to have a Europe anymore. Yeah, so a dose of racism in there as well. Hours later, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said at the Ankara summit that she expected allies to respect her country's sovereignty and understand that Greenland is not for sale. I have heard what the American president has said. Bless his heart. It is a well-known position of the United States that it wishes to own and acquire Greenland, and I hope that it will continue to be, as always, a well-known position that the Kingdom of Denmark, that will not happen. They're saying that like in the most Nordic way possible. This is what their position is, and this is what ours is, and ours is what is going to happen. Trump has publicly floated the idea of acquiring Greenland since his first term, when he eventually, even reportedly mulled swapping the island for the hurricane-ravaged U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. Oh my God, oh my God, that's wild. I remember that. The president renewed talk of gaining control over Greenland, whether they like it or not, after returning to the White House last year, while threatening allies who oppose this plan with additional punitive tariffs amid his roller coaster global trade war. It's a great way to frame that. Greenlanders, Danes, NATO allies, and much of the world were alarmed by Trump's threats to take Greenland. And also, what entitles Trump and the United States to Greenland? I'm saying this as a United States citizen. What entitles us to taking away Greenland from Denmark without their consent? The United States is like, we need it for our autonomy, we need it for our energy, we need it for our national security. What about Denmark's national security? What do they, chop liver? Do they just not matter because America is so much better than everywhere else? That's why you have these woke leftists, including myself, that are like, yeah, what makes Americans think that somehow we are entitled and exceptional to all these other countries? To me, I think we should live in a world where everyone has the same equality and equity. I think that we should have a country where we do not view ourselves as better and instead cooperate and live inclusively with the world. This is the same fabric of this colonial crap that we'll see. What entitles Trump to acquiring Greenland? The same kind of thing that what entitled people to come over to this country that were white, but then as soon as they try to immigrate and they're not white, that all of a sudden they're not welcome. It really gets into the fabric of the racism and the entitlement that is still embedded within the institutions, but especially with the president of the United States. We as America need to close the door, end the chapter on this idea of American exceptionalism and entitlement. And I wouldn't even say American exceptionalism. American entitlement is the best way to phrase that. What makes the U.S. president think that we are entitled to Greenland when it is property of someone else? For instance, let me give you a good metaphor. Trump just wants a building from someone else. Or Trump wants a building and it's owned by someone else. What is he going to just whine his way into getting that person to then give him the building? It doesn't work like that. It's not yours, bro. It's not for you to take. And you're like, "Oh, so you're anti the United States?" No, I just want the United States not to then try and impose rules on other people that they themselves cannot follow. I don't want us to think that we're somehow entitled to things when other people don't even have the same equality and equity. Like, why are we going to then tell other countries and browbeat them and be like, "You don't deserve that, but we do." That's stupid. It's stupid. Anyway, you get my gist. We have a lot of other things to get to today, so I appreciate every single one of you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next segment here. Y'all are incredible. So, if you enjoyed this video or if you're enjoying the live stream so far, please make sure to send some likes. I work super, super hard to provide this content for you all. You all are amazing, and shout out to my amazing moderators maintaining the chat here because there are some crazy people out there. So, anyway, y'all are awesome. All right, let's move on to the next segment. He's so weird. He's so weird. Oh, and France was like, yeah, if you do that, we're gonna have to escalate. So that's fun. All right. I want to do a couple really small stories of just things that don't really get much recognition within news and media. And I want to start off with this one. Governments are spending 1.1 trillion propping up the fossil fuel industry while households pay the price. Now, over the weekend, during July 4th, the America 250, Freedom 250 celebrations, Great American State Fair, there was a lot of crazy weather and really high heat indexes and temperatures. There were evacuations because of thunderstorms and risks to human life and stuff like that. It's important to note that while we have these other existential problems happening in the United States, climate change continues to happen. For those people who are like, oh my God, climate change, not the woke people again, people who mention climate change are trying to protect everyone. It's not some deep plotted conspiracy to then go against the oil and gas industry. We're talking about trying to make sure that we have a planet to then still live on. The thing is, when we burn more oil and gas, those emissions are heat trapping compounds that with the world and the greenhouse effect, those compounds go into the atmosphere and amplify the heating capacity of the whole globe. That's what climate change is all about. When we burn more and more fossil fuels, things like oil and gas, those emissions work as heat trapping in the atmosphere. That carbon dioxide, all of that traps heat in, which is why we see so many more big storms. We've always had erratic weather. We've always had crazy weather. That's valid and fair. But science and scientists are telling us that the more and more that we pump more emissions into the atmosphere, the more erratic weather is going to get. And now clean energy isn't 100% clean. There are still problems associated with that. But we need to proceed onward to mitigate as much damage as we can to make sure that we have a planet worth inhabiting. Yet, our government seems to always have the wrong priorities. And instead, are spending $1.1 trillion propping up the fossil fuel industry, of course, amplifying climate change, while also making working class people pay the price. So not only is this sabotaging us environmentally, but also sabotaging us economically. As energy bills rise and climate budgets shrink, 350.org joins the call for a permanent windfall tax on fossil fuel profits to redirect public subsidies to fund a just energy transition. And what a Green New Deal and a just transition does is, look, we understand energy grids cannot transform like that from fossil fuels to all clean energy overnight. There has to be a strategic mechanism in order to do it. That's what the Green New Deal talks about. It talks about building robust infrastructure for clean energy technology to eventually inherit the whole grid. But of course, fossil fuel companies, oil and gas, and people like Donald Trump who are invested in oil and gas don't want that to happen at the expense of the whole world, possibly in the near distant future, completely collapsing because our climate becomes unsustainable and unlivable for the United States. And let me just say this, the earth will still be here. The earth will still be here, but the climate will not necessarily be inhabitable for the United States, for people. Look, when we say, oh, we have to stop climate change for the purpose of for the purpose of making sure that the globe stays here. Oh, honey, the globe will be here. She'll be existing just fine, but she'll be moody and gassy and doing some crazy weather. Climate change is about protecting human national security. Human global security, I should say. American national security. Climate change is the biggest national security threat to the United States, in addition to a lot of other stuff as well. I already talked about Iran and all that. So, all that being said, it's just important to point out that we are, the United States, are fueling our own national security crisis by propping up oil and gas interests. As 350.org, Fuel Poverty Action and Coalition partners today demonstrate against rising energy prices outside the Department for Energy and Security at net zero, a new report from the UN Development Program, the UNDP, lays bare the true scale of the fossil fuel subsidy crisis. Governments worldwide are on course to spend $1.1 trillion propping up the fossil fuel industry in 2026, a figure that could rise to 1.43 trillion if oil prices reach $110 a barrel. The UNDP military report, military escalation in the Middle East, cushioning the global shock, finds that governments have responded to conflict-driven oil price spikes by expanding fossil fuel subsidies, price caps, and tax rebates. While these measures offer short-term relief, they are consuming public budgets that should be on building schools, hospitals, clean energy infrastructure. Many developing countries entered the latest crisis already burdened by rising debt and fossil fuel handouts to keep prices artificially low are depleting public budgets and increasing their risk at debt distress. So the 1.1 trillion that governments are pouring into fossil fuel subsidies this year is not a safety net. It's a ransom payment. Every dollar spent shielding the fossil fuel industry from the consequence of its own price volatility is a dollar not spent on clean energy systems that can bring costs down for good. Also, you're like, okay, I get it. Fossil fuels, bad. All right. Um, but like climate change can't be the only reason that we transition to clean energy. No, there's a lot of really good reasons to transition to clean energy for the purpose of economic development. Clean energy jobs are a huge growing sector. And also, if you just were like, okay, I don't really care about climate change, so are there other things that clean energy offers? That economic advancement, but also clean energy. If you don't care about climate change, clean energy also has way better processes to protect the natural air, natural water, and less pollution for humans to experience. Let's say you don't care about climate change. You think it's a hoax, which is crazy. Clean energy, even though it's not 100% clean, is so much cleaner for stopping water pollution. For instance, if you burn coal, not only do you have coal fly ash, but you also have coal slurry. Those things get into rivers, get into water streams, have mercury poisoning, and it's bad. It poisons humans, poisons the natural environment. Let's say that you don't even care about climate change. Clean water is worth it enough to transition, yeah? What about clean air? Let's say you don't care about climate change, but you don't want your air to be contaminated. Then stop trying to push for fossil fuel companies to continue polluting the air around the communities in which they exist in. So it's important for people to put that in perspective. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that there. I appreciate every single one of you. You all are amazing. Let's move on to the next segment here. I've not even looked at chat. Y'all are incredible. So let's move on. Alrighty. because you ain't seen nothing yet. Oh, I don't even know what's going on in my chat. What's going on in my chat? This guy is delusional. Oh, sweetheart. Must have said that in the mirror this morning. Let's move on to the next segment. I appreciate every single one of you. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah, this is fun. Should I do a whole segment on this? Trump EPA approves its 5th forever chemical pesticide. Love that. Love that. Actually, I'm going to do a quick little segment on this. So Trump obviously, wants the cleanest air and the cleanest water in the United States, while also claiming that climate change is a hoax. Trump EPA approves its 5th forever chemical pesticide. Now, are you all familiar with PFAS, forever chemicals? Things, they're called pure plurofluoro. Geez, what are they even? They're called. Let's see. Hold on. PFAS chemicals. Polyfluoroalkyl substances. They're forever chemicals used to make non-stick, waterproof, and stain-resistant products. PFAS are also known as the devil's piss because they don't break down. They are manufactured so well that they don't break down. They are in the environment forever. So PFAS are a large complex group of synthetic chemicals featuring strong carbon-fluorine bonds. Because this bond is one of the strongest in chemistry, these substances do not degrade easily, hence the name forever chemicals. There are a lot of different forever chemicals within the system. And also, Trump EPA approves its 5th forever chemical pesticide. PFAS are also known as human carcinogens and pollutants. Love that. And it looks like Trump doesn't care that we are putting more and more polluting chemicals into the environment. The EPA has approved the highly persistent pesticide. Oh, geez, Louise. Let's break this word down. Okay, trifluoromoxacin. 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 Okay. For use on wheat, oats, oranges, apples, and almonds. The pesticide is a forever chemical, often called PFAS or perfluoroalkyl or polyfluoroalkyl substances. This is the PFAS presidency, brought to you by Donald Trump and the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, Nathan Dooley, Environmental Health Science Director at the Center of Biological Diversity. Waiting to open the floodgates on the new pesticide approvals until after the Supreme Court granted immunity to pesticide companies taking special kind of callousness. The approval, late Tuesday, yesterday, marked the 3rd new forever chemical pesticide approved in a single day by the Trump administration. Oh, geez, we have 2 other ones entering the ring. Diflufenican. Diflufenican. Diflufen. Diflufen. Diflufenican. 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 And epirifenacyl. Epirifenacyl. Also, just as a quick little side note, I would find it astounding to try and show these words to people who don't speak English as their first language and try to get them to pronounce it, because I'm sure that it's very different for someone of a different language, like their main language being something not English, trying to pronounce these words. I wonder if it will be easier or harder for them. I think maybe it depends on the language. Anyway, epiphyrencil. Okay. Epifen. Were also approved on Tuesday. Often the EPA will accompany new pesticide approval with a press release to alert the public. However, the agency has done nothing to announce these approvals. Of course, they're like, let's introduce these chemical pollutants and not tell anybody. Love that. Woo! Trump! Amazing. Let's just pollute the whole world. This is the 5th PFAS pesticide under approval under Trump in less than 2 years in office. The previous 2 PFAS pesticide approvals were, oh, geez, Louise, why are we getting more? Cyclobutylfluoram. My cousin had that. You get a really bad rash in between your thighs. I'm just kidding. Cyclobutadiferum. 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 And isocycloclocerum. The Biden administration approved one PFAS pesticide in the prior 4 years. So, a 2024 report from researchers at the Center of Biological Diversity, Environmental Working Group, and Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility found that forever chemicals are increasingly being added to U.S. pesticide products, contaminating waterways and posing potential threats to human health. Yeah, PFAS are a known carcinogen. In addition to the 3 new PFAS pesticides approved Tuesday, EPA also announced new uses for the PFAS pesticide biofruthrin, the first food use of chloromaquiat, and the non-PFAS fluorinated pesticide fluoroxypropylene. Jeez Louise. Anyway, while some PFAS differ in their toxicities, potential to accumulate in their body, and potential to pollute water, all PFAS are highly persistent and have chemical bonds that will essentially never break down. PFAS ingredients in pesticide products have been found to contaminate streams and rivers throughout the country. The EPA has found this will eventually break into 12 different PFAS chemicals. Oh my God. Is one of this triofluoromonoxide is one of the few PFAS chemicals that does not break down into triofluoroacetic acid. So basically, the Trump administration is just greenlighting chemical companies to poison us. America! Don't you love it? Don't you love it? This is the kind of crud that gives people more cancer. This is the kind of crud that is just weakening the integrity of our whole environment. Even if you don't care about pollution for the purpose of environmental sustainability, you should care about pollution for the purpose of human health. It's a huge danger. Like, all of this for what? Non-stick coatings? So, PFAS are non-stick waterproof stain resistant. Not gonna lie, I love a stain resistant, I love a waterproof, and I love a non-stick thing. But is it worth polluting the entire world in order to have that as an asset? You decide. You decide. Contaminated water supplies, runoff from manufacturing plants, and sewage sludge. Also, PFAS contamination has very, very, very bad birth defects in humans and children. Like, PFAS contamination leads to a whole bunch of human health negative side effects for especially pregnant women. So, yeah, it's going to cause a huge, huge problem. Increased risk of various cancers, reproductive and developmental harm, liver and kidney disease, immune system suppression, and reduced vaccine response. So these chemicals are making it weaker for us to even cure illnesses. Like, let's say you get sick and you're also exposed to PFAS. Like, your body's immune response is it's much more weakened because of that. So, love that. Anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to terrify you or anything, but just love that. That's what PFAS chemicals do. Awesome. Let me clip that. How many people we got in here? 222. Y'all are incredible. We have a big group here today. Someone said Democrats hate facts. I don't even know what y'all are talking about. What's going on in my chat here? What is even going on? Okay, quick, I want to do a quick poll here, actually. Is this your first time tuning into the live stream? Yes, first time. Or no, but recently new here. No, but I should say no, but still pretty new to the live. And then let's see. No, I'm a regular. Okay. Cool. I'm going to launch the poll here. I'm just really curious. All right, let's move on to the next segment, y'all. We have much more news to get to. So, oh, geez, Louise, this is a good one. Okay. If it's your first time, then I am calling on you to make sure and subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you. Alrighty. Let's get to this here, shall we? Oh my god. Jeez Louise. If you... Ah! All right. So, putting the Freedom 250 logo on Social Security cards is corrupt and inappropriate. Obviously, that is an opinionated statement, but let's get into it here. Washington. The following is a statement from Nancy Altman, president of Social Security Works, in response to the Social Security Administration announcing that babies born during the rest of 2026 will receive Social Security cards featuring the Freedom 250 logo. Now I'm questioning, okay, what's the Freedom 250 logo? Does it have Trump's face on it? Because that would be crazy. The first Social Security card was issued in 1936, 90 years ago. In all of that time, the design was never politicized. Now, the Trump administration is putting the logo of a semi-private partisan entity, which is widely reported to be corrupt, on the Social Security cards of newborn babies. Okay, yeah, I remember this. All right. So there was a group called America 250 that was a nonpartisan this was a nonpartisan like joint venture. Then Trump created his own Freedom 250 thing that was largely Republican backed. Yeah, okay. Yep, I'm remembering now. Now the Trump administration is putting the logo of the semi-private partisan entity, which is widely reported to be corrupt, on Social Security cards of newborn babies. They claim no additional cost to the families or taxpayers, but the cost has to come from somewhere. Alarmingly, Freedom 250 has a history of harvesting data and employs former Doge operatives. What? Hold on. Open link in new tab. Employs former Doge operatives. Let's dive into this here. Jared Huffman, U.S. Congressman serving for California's 2nd Congressional District, releases new report on how Trump's hijacked America's 250th birthday to enrich himself, sell access, and harvest Americans' data. Okay. Whistleblower accounts and internal documents reveal how the White House captured a beloved national charity, deceived donors out of their money, and sold access to the president. Oh my God, wait, what? Okay. The report, From Vanity to Insanity, how the White House cheated on the American people on their 250th birthday. Okay, give me a second, hold on. Let me open this up here. Download file. Oh. Oh my God, this is... You expect me to read all this? Oh, honey. Oh, honey. That is a lot here. That is a lot here. Oh, geez Louise. Look at that table of contents. I'm glad that there are people that are talking about this, but here's the thing. If you're a congressperson, you can't just talk about it. Like, all respect to this guy here, this Jared Huffman guy, and everyone that is on this ranking committee here. But you're in Congress. Do fucking something. Like, don't just document, oh, here are all the ways that Donald Trump is corrupt and how all of this has happened. Pass a law. Do something. Use the power of your bully pulpit to talk about it. Like, don't just be like, oh, Trump bad. Oh, let's fix, like, this is bad. We need to fix this. Like, do something. Do something and use every single fiber in your human existence to make that happen. This is what Democrats want. This is why progressives and democratic socialists are so popular, because they're providing solutions, not just whining about Trump bad, which, yes, duh, but like, give us some solutions. Give us some solutions. They go through and document all about everything here. Okay. The equation is simple. The president gets money for vanity projects. The companies get a private channel to seek favor, while contracts, giant enforcement actions, or other federal matters are pending. And taxpayers left with a government that operates less like a public trust and more of a pay-to-play scheme. Yeah, interesting. So interesting. So alarmingly, Freedom 250 has a history of harvesting data and employs former Doge operatives. Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency crud thing that Elon Musk, our world's first trillionaire, was doing. So he doged the government, and now he's a trillionaire. Make sense. Doge has been found in court to have mishandled our private Social Security data, and these cards may provide another opportunity for that abuse of Americans' most personal, sensitive information. We demand Commissioner Bising Bisagio Bellagio Bising Bisine Ano Bishing. I'm sure Bisignano, and to answer the following questions. Is the Social Security paying a licensing fee to Freedom 250? Will you release any and all contracts between the Social Security Administration and Freedom 250? And will Freedom 250 have access to the data associated with beneficiaries of Social Security cards bearing their logo? Here's the thing. If it was America 250 on it, I would be fine with that. That's cool. But the fact that it's Freedom 250, which is the logo that Trump and his partisan hacks also created, because hold on, let me dive into this here. Was America 250 a non-profit? There we go. All right. Yes, America 250 operates as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, establishes and supports to fund the U.S. Semi-Quincentennial Commission, the official nonpartisan initiative created by Congress to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the country. All right. Was Freedom, that's not how Freedom 250 created as a partisan organization? While Freedom 250 describes itself as nonpartisan, its creation and operatives are widely described as highly partisan. It was established by presidential executive order as a public-private partnership housed inside the National Park Foundation. Observers, such as Reddit's this person, note that fundamentally an initiative closely tied to the Trump administration. It was created after the administration attempted to manage the previously existing congressionally chartered bipartisan group. So Freedom 250 was through an executive order, through the partisan office of the presidency. Meanwhile, America 250 was created through Congress as a nonpartisan group to commemorate America's semi-quincentennial celebration. Why in the world did Trump have to create Freedom 250 if it wasn't a vanity project for himself? And now that is going to go on the logo for the Social Security cards for people. It's just another one of Trump's vanity projects. Pure, raw, and simple. That's at least my view. All right. Let's move on to the next story here. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people in here for your first time. 59%. Only 29 votes? Y'all, come on, vote. Vote, vote, vote. No, but it's still pretty new to the channel. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad that we have a lot of new people in here. Y'all are awesome. If you're new here, sorry, I can't get comfortable. I'm like a cat. If you are a new person in here, or actually everyone share where you are tuning in from. I do like to get to know new people. Tell me where you are tuning in from. It could be country or state. I know I have a lot of people in the United States, of course, that watch me because I'm in the United States. I live in North Carolina, so that's where I'm at. Tell me where you're tuning in from. I'd like to get to know people. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, yeah, interesting. Love that. Love that. Okay. We talked about that. Talked about that. Talked about that. Someone said Germany, San Jose. Okay, awesome. Who else? California. California. Hello. Let's go into this one here. Missouri. Tuning in from Nevada. Awesome. It would be really cool if we get all 50 states represented in the chat here. All 50 states. I bet your current voice doesn't sound like it did naturally when you were growing up. No, it doesn't, because your voice evolves as you grow up. What kind of comment is that? These people are weird. Like, I'm just over here existing, trying to give you news and information, and people are like, your voice is weird. Like, yeah, I know my voice is weird, but what are you trying to say? Are you trying to make fun of me? Are you trying to make me uncomfortable? Are you trying to make me cry? Like, boo-hoo? Like, oh no. Bless your heart. Iowa, unfortunately. We got Argentina, we got Australia. On behalf of the United States, I am so sorry that our country is crazy. I'm just letting you know. Like, not everyone in the United States is crazy, all right? I know we have Trump, he's crazy. Um, I know. We, the United States, are a wild country. Um, what's political about putting 250th Independence Day anniversary on Social Security cards? No, no, no. You're missing my point here. The point of the previous segment was that America, as Congress, created a semi-quincentennial group for America 250 to celebrate the 250th birthday. Donald Trump signs an executive order creating his own group, Freedom 250, which is a public-private partnership that was created to go and about commemorating that. Trump created his own thing in order to do that. There's nothing wrong with inherently putting the idea of the 250th thing on Social Security cards. You're missing the point, though, that there was something already created nonpartisan wise, and then Trump had to go through, scrap that, put his own partisan thing on there. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I'm just simply pointing out that it shows his crazy delusions of wanting everything to be very massively controlled. It shows his vanity projects. He wants his preferred logo on there instead of the one that was jointly agreed. It's not a massive, corruption story. It just goes into showing the character of how Donald Trump doesn't seem to care about equality. He doesn't seem to care about, like, putting aside politics. So you're like, oh, it is political because he was the one that put on his thing instead of the one that says America 250. It's just a small little thing, but the fact that you all can't understand how Trump does all these vanity projects to benefit himself truly baffles me. Like, open your eyes. You claim that I have Trump derangement syndrome, yet you look at everything he does with rose-colored glasses. Anyway, let's get into this one here. All right, here we go. Let me click on the Let me clip this here. All right. Oh my God. Don't we love that? All right. So Trump's snap cuts leave states and countries facing spiraling hunger crises. So I just want to point out that, the government under Doge decided to go through and, for the purpose of fraud, waste, and abuse, cut a lot of people's SNAP benefits. And what this has done has been so disastrous in so many communities. Now, a lot of people were like, yeah, those SNAP benefits, there are a lot of people that would just sit on them. You do realize that it's our taxpayer dollars that go to funding SNAP benefits. So it is the United States taxpayers that go through and help fund the SNAP program from our tax dollars. So you're like, it's not their money. It is their money. It is their money. I would argue a better use of our money is ending hunger than what? Fueling a war that we shouldn't have started in Iran? I would argue that a better use of our money is fixing hunger in the United States rather than spending over $100 billion in weapons to bomb Iran, and then in the MOU, $300 billion that we were agreeing to pay them. So here's the thing. Trump's snap cuts leave states and counties facing spiraling hunger crises. 1 year after President Donald Trump signed legislation that slashed federal health care and food assistance to pay for tax cuts that mostly benefit the wealthy, officials on the front lines of the nation's affordability crisis say the cost to state and local governments of filling holes left by Congress in the safety net are unsustainable. Demand for food assistance is rising as children and the elderly go hungry and millions struggle to afford rising prices, leaving states and local governments in a tight fiscal squeeze. At the Flagstaff Family Food Center at the Central Food Bank in Flagstaff, Arizona, President and CEO Ethan Amos said the number of people coming in for hot meals has nearly doubled over the past year, and the demand for take-home groceries continues to rise. We are a typical food bank operation. And we've seen the needs in the community increase so much. It's just a skyrocketing need that has been seen increasing over time. Trump signed H.R. 1, the One Big Beautiful Bill, sweeping austerity legislation that he misleadingly named, of course, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, into law in July of 2025. And it remains one of the GOP's only major legislative achievements since winning a congressional majority in 2024. Along with cutting $1 trillion from federal programs that help people maintain health coverage, H.R. 1 cut funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, by $187 billion and shifted the costs of preventing starvation and malnutrition onto state and local governments. Experts say that SNAP, commonly referred to as food stamps, has become the United States' most effective tool by fighting hunger, by putting small amounts of money to buy groceries directly in the hands of people in need. Nearly 2/3 of SNAP benefits go to families with children, and the cuts go to food stamps are rippling across local economies, affecting everyone regardless of their incomes, officials say. You're going to see higher healthcare costs because people are, generally words. I can't English. Give me a second. You're going to see higher healthcare costs because hungry people generally cost the healthcare system more. And you're going to see it in your schools. Hungry kids are the most expensive to educate, said Minnesota State Auditor Julia Blaha. That's a fun last name. In a call with reporters on Wednesday. These costs don't ever go away. They just shift somewhere else. So that is the choice facing counties if the state legislature can't make up for the gap in the feds. Let me also just point out here, hungry kids cannot focus. Hungry adults cannot focus. The reason I say that is, do you all remember when you were in school? May not have happened for you. I'm assuming for anyone who went to like public school like I did, this happened. During big end of year test periods, they would give free school meals. Do you ever wonder why? They would give free school meals because hungry kids that are fed perform better on tests. They perform better in their end of year exams. Why? Because their attention is not diverted. They have a full stomach. They can actually focus on absorbing information. When you are at work and you are hungry in a meeting, let's say that you're in a work meeting that's dragging on forever and ever and ever, and you're like, oh my God, this meeting's going on and on. I can't focus. I'm so hungry. I'm hangry. That's precisely why it's super important to feed kids, provide universal free school meals, making sure that kids can get fed. Hungry kids cannot focus, period. If they're in class and they haven't had a meal that day because their parents are low income and can't afford that, then they're not going to absorb the information they need to learn about trigonometry if they're in high school. They're not going to absorb the information about fractions if they're in elementary school. They're going to absorb the information about everything happening in history during the Civil War in middle school. Like, they're not going to absorb that information. That's why they said, there was someone in here, this Blaha lady, specifically said that hungry kids are the most expensive to educate because you have to put more attention into kids when they're not as focused. Feeding kids is a win-win. Think deeply about it. I'm sorry, I got a frog in my throat. When you are hungry, you can't focus. But also, you're investing a lot of time and energy into trying to educate that kid. Think about it from a cost evaluation standpoint. You have to put in so much energy just to educate someone. But if their basic human needs aren't met, then how do you expect them to take the privilege of absorbing information? So, when you think about it, education is a privilege. It is something that you are absorbing information regarding how the world processes around you. Meanwhile, your immediate needs, whether you're hungry, you're thirsty, you have shelter, you are safe. But like, education is a privilege. You have to have all your immediate needs met before you can focus on the privilege of absorbing information about history or about the Great Gatsby. So when kids are not cared for, when they don't have meals, they can't focus. I think you get my gist. Um, and with the Trump administration and the One Big Beautiful Bill cutting SNAP benefits to the lowest income people, that greatly affects their ability to be able to provide meals. Like, I think that it's a really good use of our tax dollars. I would rather my taxes go up if it means that more hungry kids can be fed. I'm a working class person and I would support that because I care about communalism personally. Also, there's this one article, and I need to bring it up here, um, that shows like how the SNAP benefits and SNAP cuts really affect certain states. SNAP cuts hit certain states the hardest. Common dreams. Let's see. This here. Was it these three? Former governors call SNAP cuts a ticking time bomb as hunger surges. Was it here that showed um, Arizona was the one that I think had the highest. Sorry, give me a second. Arizona hunger skyrockets from SNAP cuts state by state analysis. Maybe it was under the Congressional Budget Office. Here it is. SNAP tracker. People are losing food assistance as the Republican mega bill is implemented. HR 1. So, as this finalized cuts for SNAP, it means that hunger is skyrocketing in a whole bunch of different places. We estimate SNAP participation fell nationwide by more than 4 million people, 10%, between the law's July 2025 enactment and March of 2026. So, based on the latest month of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, and the data from the Georgia Department of Human Services. The declines are especially pronounced in some states. SNAP participation declined in Arizona by 53%. Using more recent data through May of 2026, the decline was 50% due to slight increase in caseloads. So this is what we see here. Percentage change in SNAP participants between July 2025 and March 2026. So, oh, look at this here. Slide to change the start and end dates. March of 2026. Or January 2026. Interesting. So you can see how you see how August of 2024, it was 928,000 people, and now it's March of 2026. It's only half that. That's big. That wasn't what I was looking for though. Anyway, you get my gist. You get my gist that this is causing a lot of big problems. And a lot of the right wing, their common criticism is, oh, well, SNAP doesn't provide nutritional food. You're like, okay, you're providing food stamps for things. You're providing food stamps for things, but it's not providing nutritional food. That's not a reason to get rid of SNAP altogether. If you want people, if we need to, and I'm not quite sure because I'm not on SNAP benefits, if you want people to buy more nutritious offerings, then have it as required that your SNAP doesn't qualify for certain products. But also, healthier food is more expensive. So these people are already low income. These people are already low income. Browbeating them into saying, like, you have to spend all this money to buy healthy food, like, you're it's kind of hard because they're within a rock and a hard place already. So you're taking away the mechanism for them to even provide for themselves anyway. So it's a lot like the government gaslighting people into being like, just provide for yourself while they sabotage the ability for people to provide for themselves. And that also goes with free school meals. So the Trump administration doesn't like the fact that schools were providing free school meals, free school breakfast, and free school lunch for kids. That was something under the Biden administration that was great. And they were like, well, we're going to get rid of the program because they're not offering nutritious food for the kids. That's not a reason to get rid of the program. The reason is not to provide no food. You want to alter it so that it provides healthier options, then change the options. It's not a reason to get rid of it, but they want to get rid of it because it helps the rich, wealthy people. Anyway, so um, also there are such a thing as food deserts. Are y'all familiar with food deserts? I almost spelled food deserts. Food deserts are geographic areas with limited access to affordable, nutritious food. The USDA defines these as low income census tracts where a significant number of residents live more than 1 mile from a large grocery store in urban areas. Food deserts are a huge problem. Let me see if I can find food deserts map. Food deserts. That's desserts again. Ooh. Can I scroll over? Can I not, like, go over at all? I guess I just have to move this around. Is the green... Hold on. Sorry, hold on. It's going to look bad for a second. Low income in LA. Don't know what that means. Okay. So you can see that these are the areas that are food deserts. My home state of North Carolina. You can see areas that are food deserts. Let me see if I can find a better map here. Explore the map. Food deserts are a huge issue. Why is it says explore the map and it doesn't lead to anything? Hello? Why is this only for one area? Okay. Food deserts in the United States. Oh my God, it won't let me scroll. There we go. So these are all these areas that are food deserts. Also think about it. Think about the people who live in rural places. You're not going to have access to a big box grocery store necessarily. What you are going to have nearby are Dollar Generals, Dollar Tree, a CVS, or a Walgreens, maybe. You have to travel a good distance to get good, high quality food. So, food deserts are areas where you have to travel a good long distance just to get something. DoorDash or you have all these other like Instacart have helped in some capacities. Sure, that does help, but there are people who don't want to operate in these areas in certain areas because that's so long of a commute, so long of a distance. And also with gas rising, that's been a whole thing. So food deserts are also a huge issue when it comes to that as well. So anyway, I want to move on to the next story here. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's move on to the next thing. Do. Alrighty. I really want to find a good food deserts thing to show in when I post that back as a video. All right. All right. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Leave some states spiraling. Okay. All right. Is there anything in the chat that I need to tune in for? And what if they live in a rural area that's not Walmart? Walmart. Yeah. Someone said get a job. Actually, today's my day off. Yay! I have the day off today, so that's fun. All right. I want to break down this segment here too. So, this is just cruel in my opinion. This is just cruel. Everything happening with immigration in this country, the way that there's such hostility towards immigrants disgusts me. America was founded on immigration and stolen land. All the white people that are here have an immigration story, whether they were a colonizer or just an immigrant. We are all on the land was that was by all the Native Americans. So the fact that the United States is now taking this super hostile against any immigrant approach is so anti-American. To be anti-immigrant is to be anti-American because America was founded on immigration. So the fact that now Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, is barring undocumented students from state colleges is just gross. It's gross. There are so many people that want to join and become citizens in the United States. And simply because Republicans are racist and they don't, in fact, want more people of color to join the United States, that's what it is. Oh, you're a white immigrant? We'll figure it out. Oh, you're a immigrant of color? I don't know about that. That's what it's like. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. So, Florida bars undocumented students from state colleges. Over 49,000 undocumented students are currently enrolled in Florida colleges. This is just anti-American in my view. On June 30th, Florida's State Board of Education voted to bar undocumented students from attending any of its 28 state-funded colleges. Okay, well, shows why Florida is getting worse and worse when it comes to education. The ban on undocumented student enrollment in colleges extends to a general I can't English. The ban on undocumented student enrollment in colleges extends to adult general education programs, including the English language courses and GED courses. The policy requires students to present documentation proving citizenship or legal residency before enrolling. It also bars colleges from admitting students based on protected status, in a continuation of the state's attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The policy passed 6-1 by a vote by the Board of Education. God. According to Florida Phoenix, none of the board members debated, discussed, or publicly questioned the policy, even though dozens of members of the public called in to voice their opposition to the measure. Florida's State Board of Education is entirely appointed by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Ron de Meatball, Meatball Ron de White Boots. An estimated 8,000 undocumented students graduate from Florida's high schools annually, and over 49,000 undocumented students are currently enrolled in Florida colleges. State Representative Anna Escamani, who spoke in opposition during public comment in the meeting, said the vote made by the board is constitutionally concerning because the Florida legislature did not pass legislation on this matter. That's very valid. Another speaker, a professor at the state university system, said that her dreamer students brought into the country as undocumented children have some of the hardest working students in my classroom. Limiting undocumented students from accessing education is not only going to limit their futures, but it's also going to limit the future of Florida, she said. While DeSantis has defended the change, asserting that undocumented students should not access state benefits and that this is the next step of your racism. Yeah, of course. The state college system is annually projected to lose over $15 million in tuition and fees if undocumented students are barred from enrolling. The vote follows a similar vote by Florida's Board of Governors, who have began moving toward barring undocumented students from admission to Florida's 12 public universities. Fine, they'll just go somewhere else. Like, here's the thing. Florida is going to be racist. Okay, it's disgusting and deplorable, but you're going to have to pay for your racism. You're going to lose money because of your racism. Like, they're just going to go somewhere else. They're just going to go somewhere else if they can afford it. Also, our Constitution talks about protection for everyone, regardless of whether you are a citizen or not. Talks about free speech, freedom of opportunity for everyone, regardless of your citizenship. So the fact that Ron DeSantis and of all of his racist cronies are trying to do this kind of crud, like, history is not going to look back on you with favorable eyes. Because what is all this for? What is your end goal here? Only to educate white people? To bar undocumented students? Okay. For what reason? Because you have a hate fetish against anyone who's an immigrant? Like, genuinely, what is your end goal here? It's just like, what are these people doing? Why do they hate immigrants so much? Our whole country was founded on immigration. I'll share a personal anecdote. My dad's side of the family were American colonizers. They were. They came here and they fought against the oppressive government monarchy of England, the King of England, and they said, "You know what? We need to form our own country." I mean, of course, they stole the land from the Native Americans, probably, murdered them in some capacity. Um, but also, they fought against an oppressive government. And they were immigrants. Then my mom's side of the family were also immigrants coming through Ellis Island. All white people have an immigration story. And now it's the Republican white people that are trying to be anti-immigrant. So now that you've joined the country, now that you've made all these rules about citizenship, you are walking in and closing the door behind you, not letting other people enjoy in the splendor and the promise of what America is. Why? Because you're a racist piece of shit? I guess. I guess that is your answer. Why do people fear people based on race? This is why the aliens are not interested in us anymore. They're like, yeah, they're busy fighting each other. We don't need to intervene. What is the purpose of being a racist? What is the purpose of trying to declare yourself as better than anyone else? What is the purpose of trying to bar and create hurdles? Why? Because you feel inferior in what you bring? And this is a message for white people. Why do you feel like you have to be racist? Because you fear, like, your culture being lost? So you play these childish games to then appear better than other people because you're afraid of erasure because there's more non-white people that want to come to the country? Are you that terrified of optics? For years, you're like, oh, it's fine to be a minority. So why are white people afraid to be one? If there's a lot more people of color that want to come to this country. Like, America really needs to look itself in the eye and actually ask these deep questions. So like, why? Why do people have to be racist? What do you have to gain? Anyway, funny, white guy calling people racist. Yes, I am calling out my fellow brethren. Y'all, stop it. Stop it. Anyway, let's move on to the next segment here. I appreciate all of you. Y'all are amazing. We still have 205 people in here. That is incredible. What is with today? I don't work today. I actually have today off. We got so many people. Oh, it's 192. Oh, so 7 people. Wait, no, 205. Okay, wait a minute. I can't number. I can't do it. So 8 plus 5, 13. So 13 people said, oh no, fine, we're gonna change that. Oh, geez Louise. Um, let's move on to our next story here. Let me clip that. If you are new here, please say hello and where you're tuning in from. Um, also, I see 73% of you, this is your first time in here. That's awesome. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying the live stream. I work super, super hard to provide this information for you. You might not like my opinion, but I'm just giving you information. Let's see. Oh, this is really cool. This is really cool. All right, I'm really excited to bring this to you. Except I also want to move this around here. Give me a second. Hold on. Hold on. Not hemorrhoids. Oh no. Hermaphrodites. Okay. And I want to duplicate this all across the world. Alrighty. Here we go. All right, I'm super excited to bring this next segment to you. Sorry, I should have prepared a little bit more for this here. Give me a second. Interesting. All right. Here we go. All right. So I want to bring this to you because now that we've gone through Pride Month and it's mid-July, I know that there's not as many discussions around LGBTQ existence and all of that stuff. But I want to bring this to you because it's important for our understanding of the world to become enhanced to what it truly is. A multifaceted, colorful tapestry of existence and species. New documentary highlights reality of gender and sexual diversity across nature. A new documentary explores a growing body of scientific research documenting the wide range of gender and sexual diversity found in the animal kingdom, from pregnant male seahorses to matriarchal monkey troops. Second Nature, I can't English, I'm gay. Second Nature, directed by queer filmmaker Drew Denny, is narrated by Oscar-nominated actor Elliot Page, who he says joined the project because I was so moved by it and found it so affirming as a trans and queer person. Learning about animal life beyond binary concepts of sex and gender was life-changing. Denny shares about her inspiration for the film. I finally felt in my body for the first time that I belong here on Earth, just like anybody else. Featuring interviews with evolutionary biologists and eye-opening footage of the natural world, Second Nature is now showing in major cities across the United States. Let me just unilaterally share something really quickly. I used to be incredibly transphobic. I grew up not understanding. I grew up fearing. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it, so thereby I fear. I don't experience it, thereby I don't care. Here's the thing. For anyone who might be in that camp, this is your opportunity to learn. Okay? It's okay not to understand. It's okay to be really confused by it. You're like, I don't understand. Like, gay things, I get, okay? You like guys, you like women, same sex, cool. But the gender thing, the trans thing, I don't understand it. Here's your opportunity if you've stumbled across this live stream or this video to learn. Let me explain something that might break your mind for a second, okay? Think of it like this. Your biological sex is what you got down there. It's what you got up here, down there, the physical parts of your body. Your gender is a social expression. You might have been told in school that sex and gender are basically the same thing. That is a lie. That is a cheap, false equivalence that has been made. I was taught that. It's important to note that sex and gender are not the same thing. So, your sex is what you physically got, your birthday suit. Your gender is your social expression. Do you do masculine things? Do you do feminine things? So, when I say I am cisgender, that means the biological parts that I have match my gender expression. Now, for most everyone in the world, it is aligned. Your physical parts you got down there align with your outward expression. So, I have a guy haircut. I have a voice that obviously sounds a little bit gay, but is a guy voice. I have the physical attributes of a man, not showing you. You don't need to see that. Plus, that goes against YouTube's, guidelines and all that crud. We don't need to go into that. But there are a segment of the population that it doesn't match up. That is what is called being transgender. It means that your social expression does not reflect your birthday suit. Now, for a lot of people, they're like, well, why did these trans people make it such a big thing? They just wanted to be recognized as valid beings. The reason why it's such a big thing is because people don't like that they don't confine to the norm. And also for people who are like, oh, well, it's a new thing that they all decided to discover. It's a whole new thing. It's just a human thing. They're just crazy. No, we see it throughout nature. Do you all know what a hermaphrodite is? There are many animals that are hermaphrodites, which is an organism such as a plant or animal that possesses both male and female reproductive organs, structures, or tissue. While the term describes common biological traits in many species, it is considered outdated and medically inaccurate when applied to humans. It's important to note that there are many different species that have hermaphrodite offspring. Cardinals, crabs, and this kind of really F's with your mind thinking that sex is only one or another. Also, there are a lot of babies that are born intersex. And you're like, I don't even know what that is. Intersex means that they have the biological traits of both. So, this was written back in 2017, but I want to bring this to you because it still, of course, applies today. So, broadly sharing some animals that can change their sex or are both male and female at the same time, it might seem a bit of a stretch to relate animal life to human politics, but to quote some MRA trolls that shouted me on Twitter, biology is biology. These people often argue there is an absolute biological distinction between male and females, and that's simply not true. Humans have many areas that overlap when it comes to biological sex characteristics, and in animal kingdom, lines can blur even more. People often find it easier to empathize with dogs and stuff like that rather than people, so let these animals be your guide to understanding this concept. It's important to note that there are many animals that are hermaphrodites. They have male and female characteristics. Clownfish. This brightly colored blob is one of the most popular transsexual animals. According to marinebio.org, a website devoted to sharing the wonders of sea life with the world, clownfish have a hierarchical communities where a female dominates and has sex with big manfish. If the female dies, then the dominant male will sex change into a female, and a non-dominant male will change into a dominant male, the author explains. This is a species of sequential hermaphrodites, which means they're all born male and later turn into females. I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to move on to this. Cardinals and chickens. Cardinals and chickens can't swap sexes the way that some fish, snails, and corals do, but there are cases in which these animals have been made or have been half male, half female. Technically, they are known as bilateral Guion morphs. They have been hot topping the scientific community ever since 1923 when a doctor cut open his bisex chicken to eat it and found the testes as well as an ovary. Bilateral, this has been in cardinals too. One bird scientist saw an intersex cardinal out his window. half gray, half red, right down the middle. There is a common YouTube video of hermaphrodite crab. Let me see if I can find it. Where is the video?
Is that a male crab or a female crab?
That's a hermaphrodite crab.
Hermaphrodite.
It's like half male, half female.
Yeah.
It's a real sharp.
What?
Yeah.
Mullet, tell me why. How?
I don't know. There must be something in the sex or something, you know, for the crabs that just switches them. Yeah.
You might get maybe 1 in 1,000 crab like this.
That's true. Yeah. Every now and then you might get one like that.
You still sell that as usual?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know if they're going to class it as a female because the flap on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a male. I think it passes a male. Yeah. I don't know that sort of thing.
Very interesting. Have you eaten one?
No, I haven't yet. No.
We're going to get a male here, a female here. That's what a female usually looks like there on the bottom. And that's what the male usually looks like on the bottom. So you compare that to the one that Mullet just showed you. Very different.
You see the difference, right? You see how... Let me play it one more time. Can I pause this? Yeah. You see how this here is a mixture of the two. Hold on. Let me scroll up just a little bit more. So, no. Oh my God, hold on. You see how the hermaphrodite is at the top there. The male crabs have just the white, and then the female crabs have that dark. It's usually one or the other. So it exists out in nature. Why would it not apply with humans as well? And as this fisherman said, they said approximately 1 in 1,000. Now, that's not scientific in any sort of capacity, but he's mentioning that, yeah, it exists. So yes, there are trans animals. Bearded dragons are another one. Spotted hyenas. So the reason I say all of this is there's a new documentary that talks about this. Let me play the video for you all.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Everything you didn't learn in high school biology. That's the tagline of a remarkable new documentary challenging some of our most deeply held assumptions about biology, gender, and sexuality. It's called Second Nature, narrated by the Oscar-nominated actor, the author, Elliot Page, and directed by Drew Denny. The film explores a growing body of scientific research documenting the extraordinary gender fluidity and sexual diversity found in the animal kingdom. From same-sex penguin parents to sex-changing fish, to pregnant seahorse fathers, to primate societies where traditional notions of dominance and gender roles simply don't apply. This is the film's trailer.
There are approximately 8.7 million living animal species on Earth. For centuries, we have been told that when it comes to gender and sexuality, all these millions of species follow a certain set of rules. But what if this narrative fails to capture the full spectrum of life's diversity?
Homosexual behavior in nature is one of the best kept secrets. It's absolutely everywhere.
Not only do many species illustrate homosexuality and gender multiplicity, they also illustrate sex transition.
Biologists now know sexuality is fluid and that all of that is normal.
I don't know any species where homosexual sex or gender non-conforming is a taboo or cannot be done, except when it comes to humans.
There have always been scientists who have been willing to stand in opposition to the existing worldview, and there are consequences for that.
I was completely unprepared as a scientist to deal with this. We learned what we learned in school and we want to believe that it's true and it's messy, to now say, oh, it wasn't really that way.
I realized it can't be the people who are defective, it's got to be the science.
If we understand same-sex behavior better, we're also going to understand different sex behavior better. We're just going to understand the sexual lives of animals better.
There is endless diversity in nature, and the old stories we've been taught deserve a second look.
So, the reason I'm talking about this is because, and it's important to note, there are going to be all these people that are like, that's not what I was taught. Well, there are things that you're taught that were outdated or technically incorrect. When more information comes to light, it shapes our understanding of the world. Now, there's going to be all these MAGA, crazy, very homophobic or transphobic people that are like, you're saying all animals are gay? That's stupid. That's dumb. No. This is just mentioning that it exists out in nature. It's not saying that like all animals are like turning are turning different genders or turning different sexes. No, it's just mentioning that yes, it happens out there. Now, to reassure people, if you're like, "Oh my god, everything's crashing down around me." Like it's not to the extrapolated scale that you might imply it is. It's just saying, "Hey, like this happens in nature." Of course, most animals are going to be heterosexual. They're going to be interested in the opposing sex, and they won't be able to change their sex from one to another. Like, they're not saying that everything is all like, oh my god, everything is now like gay. No, it's just mentioning that there's a small part of nature that has always been this way, and they're just revealing that as such. Cool. Can we move on to another subject now, like fixing world hunger? Can we fix other things? Like, so this is just simply pointing out that like homosexuality as well as changing sexes has happened in nature. So my question is, why does transphobia still need to be a thing? Why does homophobia still need to be a thing? It's a natural thing. Now, because it's natural, does that mean that it's incredibly common? No. Same portion with the United States. Like, there's a lot more heterosexual people that exist than gay people. I'm saying that as a queer person. I'm not here to try and displace anyone. We're just talking about how we exist, and this is a little bit more about it. And also, nature, this really kind of flips on its head the idea of everything being so binary. In this world, a lot of times people like to make things so black and white, when in reality, there's usually some gray area there. So it's just important to point all of that out. And also, a lot of people's negative comments, what that's really showing is your fear of letting go of the world. Like, you're not willing to then be proven wrong. I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to then share things if I don't know something. But the reason I say that is because this is a huge step in us understanding the world around us. So you can either choose to be bigoted and outdated and ignorant in regards to how the world works, or we can all join together and actually tackle other real issues to advance human civilization. Cool. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, kids. Sorry, I don't mean to call you kids. That's rude. Let me move on to the next segment here. Let's see. I think I have. I have one more story I want to share. I don't know if I'm going to make it into a full video, but okay. Okay. Alrighty. Let's end the live stream really, really strong. Y'all are incredible. I appreciate every single one of you. Someone says proudly bigoted. It's up to you to deal with me. Great. I'm sure, like, why? Why do you choose to be bigoted? Why? For what purpose? To make yourself feel better than other people? Like, what do you have to gain? What do you have to gain from being so childish? These people are weird. All right. This is just a quick little informational thing, and then I'm going to end the live stream. Okay. And if you're new here and you've enjoyed the live so far, please make sure to subscribe and send some likes. It really does help out the stream. All right. Start recording. Here we go. So I saw this the other day from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, and I wanted to go through it bit by bit here. At least 88 profitable U.S. corporations paid zero donut in federal income taxes in 2025. Meanwhile, at the same time, we gave tax cuts to the wealthy in the tune of the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, giving more handouts to corporations for them to pay very little, but for working class people to then pick up the tab. Do you think that's fair? I don't care about partisanship. Do you think that's fair? I think it's disgusting. If this was happening under Democrats, which in some cases, this kind of austerity mechanism that this nickel and diming of the working class did. Not to the extent that it happens under Republicans, but put partisan crap aside. Is this okay? No. No one should be simping for billionaires. No one should be simping for the rich. That makes you sus. 88 corporations. $105 billion in profits, zero federal income tax. At least 88 of the largest corporations in America paid no federal corporate income taxes in their most recent fiscal year, despite enjoying substantial pre-tax profits in the United States. While the biggest U.S. corporations have avoided taxes in the way for decades, it appears that corporate tax avoidance has increased in the most recent year. This is part and due to two separate packages of corporate tax cuts pushed through by the Trump administration, the One Big Beautiful Bill and the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. These tax-avoiding corporations represent a variety of industries and together enjoyed more than $105 billion in U.S. pre-tax income in 2025. Think about what this could go to. This could go to feeding kids. This could go to fixing infrastructure. This could go into creating a country that is worth living in for people. Instead, no, we have to give the rich people more tax cuts. The statutory federal income tax rate for corporations, for corporate profits, is 21%, which means these 88 corporations would have paid a collective of a total $22.1 billion for the year they had paid on their 2025 income. Instead, they received $4.7 billion in tax rebates. This means the total federal corporate income tax breaks enjoyed by these companies comes to $26.7 billion when measured against the 21% statutory rate. Measured against the 35% corporate income tax rate that was in effect before the two corporate tax cuts pushed through by Republicans and Donald Trump since 2017, these companies collectively cut their income taxes by $41 billion in 2025 alone. So, which ones? Which companies paid zero federal income tax in 2025? Automaker Tesla, which has the world's first trillionaire. Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, Live Nation Entertainment, Yum Brands, parent company of fast food chains like KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, paid no federal income tax on over $1 billion of U.S. pre-tax profits. 3 tech companies, PayPal, Toast, and Block, collectively paid zero in federal income tax on the $3.2 billion of U.S. income. 3M, American Electric Power, Atmos Energy, Biogen, Block, Bright House Financial, Citigroup, Coinbase, CoStar Group, CVS Health, Dominion Energy, that utility, Dropbox, Duke Energy, my utility in North Carolina, Edison International, Etsy, GoDaddy, Halliburton, Hasbro, Honeywell International, Kaiser Aluminum, Kohl's, Liberty Energy, Liberty Media, Live Nation Entertainment, NRG Energy, Palantir, PayPal, PG&E, Petco Health and Wellness. Roku. Scott's Miracle Grow. That was a really bad wink. There we go. Scott's Miracle Grow. Sealed Air. Semtra Energy. Southwest Airlines. Tesla. Toast. Venture Global. Vistra Corp. Walt Disney. Wynn Resorts. Excel Energy. Yum Brands. Those are just a few of them. Do you think that's cool? Do you think that's okay? Meanwhile, we pay more and more and more in taxes. Tax the wealthy. I've shown this a million times. What does $1 billion look like? I've shown this so many times, but I'm going to show it one more time. What does $1 billion look like? Can you see this? Technically, there's a dot there. Let me scroll in. Now you might be able to see it. That represents $1. $1. This represents $1,000. I just got a paycheck about that size. Wonderful. Okay? This is what $1 million looks like. All right, $1, 1,000, 1 million. Okay. Okay. Now, you want to see what 1 billion looks like? I want you to track this side of the screen here. You'll see these numbers here, okay? I'm going to keep scrolling, and you'll see these numbers fly by. So, there you go. This is what $1 billion looks like. Are we there yet? Where are we at? 63 million? Okay. Almost there. Almost there. Okay, are we 94? Okay. Wait a second. $100 million? We're only a tenth of the way there. We're only a tenth of the way there. You want to see what it really looks like? Let me scroll all the way down. Who needs that much money? Did you skip ahead? I don't blame you. It'd take about 15 minutes of manual scrolling to get from top of the billion pixel rectangle to the bottom. If this rectangle with these margins was printed out on standard letter size paper, it would comprise a volume of 844 pages. Heavy lifting. Who needs that much money? I don't know if you can see, but I'm scrolling. Did someone work this hard for all that money? What about all the other working class people who work hard every single day doing essential jobs? They don't earn this much. How do you quantify hard work anyway? Does one person need this much money? It surely can't be good for their human health. Can't be good for their mental health to have this much wealth. Also, what's the purpose? One person having this much money, what does it do for the world? Shouldn't the world at least, of course, reward hard work, but like, is it good for this one person to have this much control? I don't care how good-hearted you are. It's not good. It's a national billionaires having that much money is a national security problem in my view. Let's also look at other images. What does $1 billion look like? Let me see if I can find a chart. $1 million versus $1 billion. Oh, video.
This is a United States $1 bill. It's just over 1/10 of a millimeter thick. So what if you had 1,000,000 of them? 1,000,000 US dollars stacked up into the sky. How tall would that stack be? Well, I mean, first of all, it would fall over. So let's say instead that you put that stack on its side, one after the other, lined up, not edge to edge, but just stacked up. How long would that stack be? Well, it'd be about the length of a US football field or a UK football pitch. So that's the distance that I'm going to walk right now. And as we go, have a think about just how much money that is. We passed $10,000 within my first couple of steps back there, and that's more money than the average annual wage in a lot of the world. Now, there's a money clock on screen tied to the GPS in this camera, so the numbers should be about right as we go. A lot of folks have created visualizations of the difference between 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000. Humphrey Yang on TikTok did a great one with grains of rice, and Ren at Corridor Digital did this spectacular visual effects demonstration. But where I think those visualizations fall down is that they rely on volume, they rely on three-dimensional stuff, and that's just not something that the human brain is particularly good at. It's just not intuitive that if you multiply the height, width, and depth of a cube by 10, then the volume increases by 1,000. Yes, mathematically obvious if you know the formula, but intuitively, it's just not that easy to actually understand. If you really want to understand the difference between 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000, then you need something one-dimensional. You need distance. So, I'm going to drive the length of $1 billion. Doesn't feel like it should take that long, right? After all, I walked to $1 million in a minute or so. How long can it take to get to 1,000,000,000 when you've got a car and some fast roads?
Oh my God. Wait, this video is an hour, 19 minutes long.
Dash, come in. Seatbelt on. Let's drive to $1 billion.
Wait a minute, hold on. Y'all notice that this video is an hour and 19 minutes long. So he walked the length of 1,000,000. Okay. But then he's now driving, so he's going faster. But it's still, if you were to walk that length, it would be like, it would probably be like 4, 5, 6 hours of walking versus what he did in a minute. A minute was 1,000,000. So 4, 5, 6 hours of walking, my prediction is 1,000,000,000. Like, it really goes to show you how much it is. Like, you can see up here in the corner there. So seriously, who needs that much money? And guess what? These corporations that earn billions of dollars, zero. They pay zero. Do you think that's fair? I think it's disgusting. Billionaires, there should not be a thing as a billionaire. No one deserves that much money. No one person deserves that much money. Anyway, that is the end of the live stream today. I know I went on for a while, so y'all are incredible. If you enjoyed this video or this broadcast, please make sure to send some likes and go check out my other content that I posted. Y'all are incredible. And shout out to my amazing moderators in here who helped the stream become successful. Y'all are incredible. I love all of you so, so much. You know, I'm an up-and-coming person in this space, so it means a lot to have y'all's support. So anyway, I appreciate all of you so, so much. Let me give a shout out to top fans in here. Not you, Winderlied, Seth Kinney are top people in here. Y'all are incredible. LB, Akicha, love you, Akicha. Akicha's one of my mods. They're amazing. CRXR, cool. Daniel Oliveira, Little Lady, and Mers Full Wolf are in the top 10. Y'all are incredible. I appreciate all of you so much. Y'all are incredible. I'm gonna skedaddle. I hope you all have a wonderful day. It is a beautiful day here in North Carolina, and it's actually my day off. So I'm gonna get to editing some more content from stuff from the live stream today. And yeah, y'all are awesome. Anyway, I know I repeat myself, and thank you all, so much towards the end. So anyway, just remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, you are strong. Hold on. Just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything or any algorithm ever, 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 ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye.